We all picture Vikings as these fierce raiders, swinging axes and charging into battle. But what about after the fight, when the shields splinter and the screams fade? That's when the real horror kicked in. Not for the dead warriors, their suffering was done. No, it was the women left behind. Wives, daughters, every survivor facing something that made death look like a kindness. You think you know Viking brutality? The old tales barely whisper about this nightmare. If you're hooked on real Viking and Norse history, hit that subscribe button. It keeps us going. Drop in the comments, which city are you tuning in from? All this draws from solid sources like Ibn Fadlan's eyewitness accounts to digs at Dublin's slave markets. Okay, back to the tale. Picture this. The monastery at Clonmacnoise crumbles under Thorgils and his fleet. 43 monks hacked down at the altar. The old records detail the massacre, then go quiet on the women's fate. But the evidence, it's there. Chains unearthed at Dublin's Wood Quay, iron cuffs sized for women's wrists, ankle rings tiny enough for kids, warehouses built to store people like goods. Dublin's Vikings weren't just after gold or silver, they stole lives. A captured wife? She turned into merchandise, stripped of her humanity. In those markets, prices were brutal and cold. 20 silver pieces for a young woman, 15 for a mom, 10 if she got hurt in the raid. These numbers, etched into rune stones at Schleswig, like stone receipts. But hey, getting sold. Sometimes that was the lucky option. In 862, Vikings hit the settlement at Port Mahomac. Irish annals count 47 warriors dead, but zip on the 53 women dragged from their homes. Soil samples from nearby bogs spill the beans. 23 female bodies, all with calculated violence. No wild battle wounds, these were precise, skulls bashed from behind, arms shattered in defense, ribs crushed over time. Not killed in the chaos, executed days later after choices were made. This wasn't one-off. In 871, the great heathen army takes Reading. Chronicles cheer King Ethelred's defeat, but skip the royal women's doom. Digs at the Saxon palace, stones soaked in blood residue, enough for dozens. Viking laws were ironclad. Kill a warrior. His wife becomes your property, not a maid, but a forced bride. The Norse word? Kona, meaning owned woman, breathing property. Icelandic codes lay it out. Claim her before witnesses within 3 days, or rivals fight over her like cattle. No say for her. Kids from this? Legit heirs. Rape wasn't hidden, it was law. Forced marriage bad. Wait, there's worse. In 878, Norse raiders wipe out Bangor Monastery. Annals note the destruction, but hush on the aftermath. Burn sites elsewhere reveal it. Women's bones arranged in patterns. Norse funerals demanded blood. Warrior dies, so do his horses, weapons, and women. Ibn Fadlan eyewitnesses one in 921 on the Volga. A slave girl ritually assaulted and killed for her master's grave. Digs across Scandinavia back it up. Female skeletons with choke marks, henbane drugs in teeth to daze them. Hallucinating, helpless. Mercy, or twisted cruelty. By 907, the great army camps at Thetford. Chronicles talk stolen cattle, burned churches. Camp trash heaps, infant bones, dozens smashed by blunt force. Not natural deaths, murders. Viking rules, slave mom means slave kid. Can't work? Kill it. Cold math. Even the Domesday Book shows Normans kept this going. Yorkshire population dips match Norse spots. Bones at Repton confirm 873-874 camp, 249 skeletons total. Just 63 women? They don't vanish unless taken. Isotopes on those bones? Not locals. Captives from Ireland, Scotland, Wales. Buried ones lucky, dead from birth or sickness. Others, funneled into slave routes. Viking Dublin. Not just a harbour, a trafficking empire. Ships docked weekly with fresh hauls. Women sorted by age, young to Norse farms as breeders, older east to Islamic markets via Russian rivers. Tree ring dating on Dublin docks. Rebuilt non-stop from 841 to 970. Growth for slaves, not fish or furs. Those warehouses? Stone foundations for 200 people. Floor drains, For waste, not rain, long-term human storage. Arabic writers describe Viking caravans to Baghdad, pale Celtic women as luxury items. Vikings knew the demand, supplied it ruthlessly. If you dig real Viking facts like this, subscribe. It fuels our work. The Big Eastern Route, through Novgorod and Kiev, over 1,000 miles down the Dnieper. Rune-carved ship lists tally slaves with amber and pelts. Chilling, 20 women per boat, standard. But captivity, not the worst. Not sale, not marriage, not sacrifice. Defiance, that's when terror peaked. In 914, Irish retake Dublin, Vikings flee. Annals celebrate, but skip what's outside. Punishment pits, stone-lined holes for slow death. Skeletons inside, legs smashed to trap them, arms broken to stop self-harm. Each pit, 6 feet deep, 3 wide. Can't lie or stand. Days, weeks to die, thirst, cold, pain. Viking codes confirm, harm your master. Buried alive but shallow for air. Slow agony as warning. Dublin digs show it. Layers prove drawn-out deaths. Sharp stones to rip skin. Water to drown inch by inch. Not just kill, teach. By 990s, Norway's Harald Fairhair unites. Wars cool. Slavery gets slicker. Predictable deliveries like ordering stock. Byzantine records from 944 treaty price slaves. High for young women, discount if pregnant, kids cheap. By 937, last big Irish raid ends at Brunanburh. 5 kingdoms crush the Norse. Victory, sure, but the baggage train, portable pens, iron and wood setups to chain people on the move. Kid-sized links, modular for quick setup. Mobile slave ops, baked into war logistics. For Vikings, raids weren't just gold grabs. People were the prize, women as resources to harvest, sort, sell. Digs at Viking towns, holding pens everywhere, harbors with processing spots, infrastructure hidden in plain view. In 954, Eric Bloodaxe dies at Stainmore, last Viking kingdom in England falls. Slavery networks, swallowed up. Christian lords rename slaves indentured servants. Monastery rolls spike with them post-Viking. Same women, new label. In 1066, Harold Hardrada bites it at Stamford Bridge, Viking Age over in England. But digs uncover mass female graves from defeat years. Not raid kills, executions to erase evidence. Why? Repton's 986 grave, 236 women, all deliberately slain, blunt trauma, choking, poison. Isotopes, Norseborn, their own wives and daughters. Facing loss, Vikings knew the horrors awaiting captives, they dished it out. So they slaughtered their families first. Soil shows days-long killings. Organized wipeout, dads ending daughters, husbands wives. Mirror of their own terror, chronicles mute, sagas skip. But one skull, runic carve, better this way. Justification in bone, girl 1214 born Norway, killed in England to save her. Post-death etch, like explaining to ghosts. Think Viking rape was random? Myth busted. It was law. Gragas codes, public claim with witnesses. Her fight, irrelevant. Suicide, theft, fine her family 40 silver, a year's wage for most. By 978, England's Ethelred taxes slave trade, not bans it. London customs, 5 silver per woman, 2 per kid. English didn't hate it, they wanted in. North Sea wrecks, slave ships with vents, water stores, reinforced holds for 80. Built 912, burned at sea, 80 chained women drowned. But some women fought, 923 Frankish records. Gunhild, freed Norse captive, turns tables. Knows Viking weaknesses, 7 years torching outposts, freeing hundreds, destroyed 12 camps. Brutal, no mercy, surprise hits. Her finale? Rouen slave market, 47 traders castrated, bled out. Post 930, Viking sites burn. Someone's hunting. This didn't die with Vikings. Normans copy in 11th century England. Domesday Book lists women with cows, ploughs. Castle digs, women only sells for 30. Trash heaps? Near total infant deaths. Policy, not accident. 1066 Hastings. Harold falls, Saxons conquered. Norman knights marry Saxon women, legal rape for land grabs. Civilizing, call it ethnic wipe via assault. Church records, nuns triple post-conquest. Suicides soar, sainted as martyrs, but state sees property loss. Science seals it. Modern DNA. Mom lines show Celtic Saxon women in Scandinavian genes from 900s. Not trade, mass rape. Iceland, 60% female ancestry Celtic captives. Norway, 40% British Isles. Thousands of stolen lives, forced births. Darker still, York's 876 building, 64 cells, chained walls, occupied 40 years. Breeding factory. Bones, women cycled through pregnancies, dumped when done. York Centre, not hidden. Church baptized 732 kids from there, 12 survived. Rest, sold to servitude, profits to cathedrals. Church paid operators, partners in horror. Pattern widespread. Every town, every church. Networks profited on suffering. Repton grave, not one event, layers over 50 years. Ongoing erasures. Bones show slow mercury poison, madness first, silencing voices. Mother-child burials, no survivors. Among skulls, that inscription, better this way. Hands that carved knew the machine they'd built. Captured wives,